Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. Today in episode 2 of the PvE challenge, I'll be discussing Dragon Fist and Ragnarok Mobile. This class was once feared for its boss hunting ability, but is now considered one of the worst DPS classes for PvE, and I really wish the devs would do something about it. So, let's attempt to solo some legend instances today with Dragon Fist and see if it's possible with billions of zeny worth of investment. Now, the biggest problem with Dragon Fist are the damage caps put in instances like Isles and Museum. From Brave to Legend difficulty, you can't deal more than a certain amount of damage even if you see a large number. For example, here I hit the Golem and Brave for 412 million damage with Skybreaking Dragon Fist. The numbers look great, but it's still very much alive. Also, the follow-up on the next strike is too slow, so unlike Saitama who can hit hard and then deal fast successive damage after, Dragon Fist just can't compete with that. Now, without high damaging strikes, you either use auto attack or some skills. The auto attack is straight up garbage since there just aren't enough modifiers to help you. So instead I decided to try skills instead. Finger Offensive is quite good, the cooldown is fairly low and spammable and doesn't have too much setup. And that's the other thing I hate about Dragon Fist, there's too much setup required to deal damage that greatly lowers your DPS when you have to set stuff up. Many classes these days have zero setup, so that's definitely a huge advantage for them. Next, here's some footage of me taking down the Legend Golem. Let's see how good Finger Offensive is. The Finger Offensive damage isn't bad, it can hit for more than 60 million each, but it's a bit too slow. Dealing damage quickly over time is better in the current PvE meta. You're better off using fast auto-attacking classes or a skill damage user that hits more frequently, but one thing that is good about Finger Offensive is it allows you to do lifesteal with the Cobalt Leader card, and I switched that in later. For the final hit, I wanted to end it off Whisk style with the Skybreaking Dragon Fist, so here I go, and I do hit it. Next for floor 2, it was brutal. This is because you don't really have elemental advantage, so your damage will be lacking. They did make the floor 2 boss a bit easier. It used to be instant death if you couldn't clear it by the second transformation wave. For my 15% free to play Klitzberg, I could clear that before that happens. I have a link in the description if you want to check that out. You just see how much more power Klitzberg has despite having a much lower deposit and suboptimal gear and cards. Whereas if you love jobs like Shura, you're gonna have to invest a ton just to be, well, mediocre. Understandably, that's why many players are upset because their classic jobs just aren't that viable in PvE anymore. Next, I'll speed it up. And finally, the Sea Sphere goes down. Next is floor 3. You can see the Cobalt Leader does amazing work by giving me a huge lifesteal, so its first phase isn't too bad. But where the trouble begins is the second phase. Without good AoE, this class is unusable for popular instances. Tiger Cannon is somewhat spammable, but its damage is still too low. I eventually died pathetically, and nope, I did not want to try anymore. The same goes for Museum, you just can't deal enough damage to the mini dragons or the big dragon. You're also being hit by damage constantly, so run out of anti-death if you do this solo. Now, I'm sure if you had a Saint keeping you alive, you could clear it. But remember, my 15% deposit Klitzberg could clear this, so it's kind of annoying for a high deposit Dragon Fist to not be able to do the same. So after trying this out and failing a lot, I still count Dragon Fist as D tier, or as I call it, the trash tier. I would recommend any sane person try this out, and definitely don't invest in Dragon Fist for PvE, you will regret it. Save your billions of zeny for something else, and definitely for a better class. Also, if the devs are watching, please give some classic classes some love, especially for Shura who was once loved and feared early in the game's release. Next is my build. I'll go through this very briefly. This is mostly to show my setup in case people are wondering. Also, if you have a more optimal build, let me know and I can try it out. If it's a build that'll move it out of the trash tier, I'll definitely enjoy trying it out. So here's my Finger Offensive build. This is what I use to clear the Magma Golem. I use Dragon Will Shield for the physical damage increase. For card, I use the Ancient Artifact User card for the extra damage to MVPs. Next, I use Horror Bones Battle Gear for the attack percentage. I also have the Damage to Large Monsters random attribute. Next, I use the Molten Colossus card for damage to MVPs. Next, I use Leader's Pauldron for the skill damage and ignore defense. I use the Golden Flame King card for damage to MVPs. Next, I use Dragon Slayer War Boots for the attack and penetration percentage. I use the Fallen Bishop card to deal extra damage to humans. This works with my Fire Era Seed Relic, which converts the target to humans temporarily. Next, I use the Fluorite button for the water attack percentage. I use the Liu Mao Shin card for damage to MVPs. Next, I use the Emerald button for the water attack percentage. For card, I use the Moonlight 10 Trillion Star card for skill damage. Next, for weapon, I use the Refined 15 Titan for dealing damage to large targets and MVPs. I use Drake Star and Menorah Star card for dealing extra damage to large monsters and MVPs. I will sometimes swap in the Cobalt Leader card for some lifesteal when dealing single target damage. Next, for head, I use the Cat Language Diadem for damage to MVPs. For card, I use the Machine Dragon Wing card for damage to MVPs. Next, I use Winter Crown for the skill damage. Next, for mouth, I use the Frozen Fruit for the penetration percentage. Next, I use Chicken Ash for the damage to MVPs and to increase damage to target. Next, I use It's Too Late for the skill damage. Next, for Shadow Equipment, it isn't optimized. The only interesting tech is the Arcane Codex for faster finger offensive time. Next, for Oracle Mirror, I use the build for MVP damage. Next, for Relic, I use the Era Fire Seed for converting the target to demi-human. Next, here are my stats. At 44,000 attack, 57.9% penetration, 47.5% skill damage increase, 86.5% physical damage increase, 202.9% ignore defense, and 83% water damage. Hitting optimal stats is definitely very difficult, you just don't have enough penetration or skill damage that comes with Dragon Fist. For attributes, I max strength, dex, and int. Next, for Adventure Handbook, I have 3,641 attack and 145% damage. If you use Kallisberg instead with the same handbook, you would breeze through your PvE instances. Next are my Advanced Ruins. I think the only notable one here is the Swift Flash Ruin. I have a pretty good one with a high third line and a decent first and second line. Next, although Sky Piercer Star Ruin helps with Sky Dragon Punch, it's too unspammable to be very impactful. Also, you're stuck to water, which doesn't make it as flexible as Finger Offensive, which is convertible. And the same with Nirvana Ruin, spamming a Shura Strike is just too slow and the damage cap ruins it too. Also, this is stuck to neutral. Next is Soul Awakening Ruin. Next is the Fearless Steel Ruin to help with Steel Body. Next, here are my skills. First are my Acolyte skills. Then here are my Monk skills. Here are my Champion skills. I showed my Finger Offensive has pretty good reduced cast time, cast cooldown, and cast delay. Next are my Shura skills. And for Dragon Fist, you can invest in everything. In my manual bar, I have Prepare for Elite, which has Blessing and Zen inside of it. Zen, Finger Offensive, Rising Dragon, Tiger Cannon, and Sky-Breaking Dragon Fist. The Tiger Cannon provides a little bit of AoE. Next in auto, I have Blessing and Finger Offensive. Well, that's all. That's the build that I had used to test this out. So, do you mourn the current state of Dragon Fist? Let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I recommend, and for more PvE challenges, check out this playlist over here.